interesting panel here, Rewriting the Rules, Gen AI and the Future of Enterprise. Please help me in welcoming the esteemed panelist of this session. I would like to welcome Pradeep Venkatesan, Principal AI Technical Product Manager, Ericsson. Please give a huge round of applause for Pradeep. Please welcome Viri Bindra, Global Business Executive and Strategic Advisor, Kyndryl. Anku Jan, MD, Mediatek. Vikas Agarwal, Head of Strategic Solution, Network Solution and Services, TCS. Gaurav Goyal, EVP, SME, BizOps and Strategic Projects, VI Business. And at last, please help me in welcoming Salab Saxena, who will be the moderator of the panel. He is Partner for Governance, Risk and Compliance Services, KPMG India. Please give a huge round of applause for this panel, everyone.
Hello. Good evening, and I'm delighted to have such a illustrious panel with us today. I mean, we have a mix of technologists, telecom experts, people who actually have experience of working with large scale to small scale clients, and I'm really excited and delighted to actually be part of such knowledgeable set of people. Uh, the topic that we intend to cover is rewriting the rules, Gen AI, and the future of enterprises. Uh, what we intend to cover is there are three themes that we intend to cover today, and as a context, if you look at Gen AI is no longer a buzzword. It's actually now becoming a backbone of all the enterprise transformation initiatives. Now, if you look at smarter workflows to intelligent decision making, Gen AI is now reshaping how businesses operate. And India, of course, stands at an inflection point. If you look at it, we have the intelligent telecom infrastructure, we have a thriving ecosystem, and there is a rich data environment. We were actually talking about the volumes of data and the velocity of it, and India actually has loads of it. So we are not only adopting AI, we are actually positioned to lead it. So what we intend to do is to explore what it would take us to scale it to the next level. And starting with the first theme, which is what is working now. Uh, and we look at what's happening on the ground when we hear how enterprises are using Gen AI, not in theory but actual real experiences. So perhaps Vikas, if I could start with you. So TCS works with some of the largest enterprises globally, right? So you sit at a vantage point. What separates successful Gen AI deployments from those which are stuck at a pilot stage? What has been your experience? And also, if you could just share some ROI examples while you're talking about this.
Sure. I think that's one of the most interested one and one of the most desired one as well. That what is the ROI? Now, what we see in terms of ROI, the intent makes the key difference. Am I looking for an algorithmic output or am I looking for a business outcome? So that's where the things really differ. And let me give you some quick example from few of our discussions and engagement. So we were working with a client for a long time into the operations area. Now in operations, one of the things which become very critical is MTTR. Now, that client engaged with us around a year back and said that, okay, now we want to get into some application development. So we moved the needle. We said that why don't we consider MTTB as a metric for ROI? What is my mean time to build? Can I reduce the complete SDLC? Can I reduce the complete DevOps cycle? Because GenAI is really giving lot of headway in terms of reducing the cycle time, from your requirement gathering to your first prototype, from first prototype to scaling and then testing, all of those. So your MTT becomes the new metric for in terms of measuring the success and in terms of bringing far more objectivity to the business. Now, we moved from MTTR, which creates resilience. MTT becomes far more relevance in the business. Now, coming to the next, what we also categorically do in terms of where the customers are clueless about ROI, whatever firm belief is that the ROI sits within the workflow. It doesn't sit in the use case. So it sits in the decision. So you have to look at the process in totality. And with that, I'll bring an example from my earlier reading. So two decades back, I read something about Ellie Goldratt, theory of constraint. And I believe with GenAI, the moment has come where you see constraint in your process, which can be in terms of how do I sense the data. So for example, with your traditional AI, the AI was able to read the data, to decipher the data. But with multi-model GenAI models in place, you have voice to the data, you have your data can hear, your data can speak, your data can see. So that's where, can we see those process bottlenecks where these kind of challenges exist, and can we solve that through GenAI? So looking at the whole workflow, so that's another way. And with one example, I'll just sum it up. So we were working with another telecom operator, in network planning and deployment. So the conversation again started, what are the use case do you have, and all of these. And we said, no, we are not use case centric. Look at the complete process, look at the bottleneck, look at the decision-making points which are happening. So for example, one of the bottleneck we found that, multiple snaps you take from the field and come back to your back office for qualification, for decisions, whether the site is installed correctly or not. Can we apply a deep learning there? Their CEO or the chief of operation used to ask a lot of questions to their backend team that give me that report, and the 2-3 people dedicatedly working on that. Can we give a GenAI bot to the chief executive to say that whatever question you want in terms of the data, it'll answer. So those kind of things. So I'll just sum it up. It starts with intent and look at the process in totality to get more to the ROI.
Thanks, Vikas. Interesting example. Now let's shift gears, right, from large enterprises to coming to the MSME ecosystem. And Gaurav, if I can come to you, because Vodafone actually supports a vast network of MSMEs. So what's one GenAI use case that's actually working that you've seen on the ground for small businesses? And again, beyond cost savings, which are the other measures of ROI that you would like to see for these small companies?
Thanks, Shalabh. Good afternoon, everyone. So I will start with what I'm seeing in the market when my team interacts with the MSMEs. One area where we see very high level of adoption is at a personal level. People have started using Chat GPT, or other Gen AI tools to get, to help them in simple things, right? Writing emails, coming up with new campaigns. So there is, at a personal level, there is a lot of adoption which is happening. The second thing is, if at an enterprise level, if I see, there's a lot of adoption in terms of creating content. So there is a lot of personalized marketing content that has getting started, generated using these tools and coming to all our, WhatsApp and everywhere. From the business process perspective, whoever has, like, say, a call center operation, so they are moving to, of course, contact center as a service, which is using the AI agents, which is using maybe, like transcripts of the calls, the analysis of those. You want to see the sentiment analysis when somebody is speaking with a customer and using that as to refine their interaction. So those kind of adoptions we are seeing. I think it has to definitely, it will increase as people start to integrate multiple business processes, and using these AI tools, making them more effective. If I come back to the cost question, the ROI question that you asked, maybe I'll give you my own example, right? So some places where we have a set process, it is easy to see what benefits we are getting, right? Whether it is in terms of reducing the time, if it is saving the cost because we need less people. I'll give you an example where, say, I have about 1,500 people on ground selling our products to MSMEs. And there is a lot of churn in that because those are entry-level salespeople, right? So we created a bot which can assist them in this sales journey, where if they have a question about our process, about our product, about the proposition, they can ask the bot and get the answer right away. Now, it helps us to get them ready faster. So if somebody was getting productive in 3 months, can get productive in 1 month, right? The productivity in terms of the number of calls they can make also increase, and which is easy. But the best, outcome that will come out of that, I know my salesperson on the ground is facing what problem, what questions are they asking. Using those questions, now I can refine my proposition. I know where I have to fix my process, which wasn't so easy before having a tool like that. So the ROI is not just in terms of cost saving, or it can be a lot more in terms of fixing our business processes, making our products more efficient, and of course get more revenue.
Thanks. Great to see. So basically, there is a difference that one is seeing at a grassroots level. Now let's talk about the technology powering these innovations. So Anku, if I could come to you. So MediaTek powers the hardware behind many AI-enabled devices, right? So how do you see Gen AI shaping enterprises in the next few years? And I believe you also have an IoT platform that helps organizations take smarter decisions, right? So how is that coming up?
So I think let me address this in multiple segments. So one is about enterprise adoption. And secondly, maybe I can talk about the chipsets that we design for several verticals. For enterprise adoption, I think everyone understands that AI is not a buzzword anymore, as you mentioned. And the question is, how do we adopt in several different workflows? So what I've noticed in my own teams is that although everyone is aware of AI, but the knowledge is very superficial. So it has to come from the top that we have to somehow use AI to increase efficiency. And in our teams we have had kind of hackathons kind of things, and where we ask people to identify the pain points that they suffer, and where they can then map it with the capabilities of the AI. And that's how we have been able to actually come up with a lot of good use cases, which are small use cases, but then it helps to increase the efficiency. Could be in coding, could be in marketing, could be in sales. So any pain point which is they are suffering, and how do they leverage AI? I think that kind of mindset people have to have. Otherwise, adoption may not happen. People just have ChatGPT and stuff like that, and it doesn't really work out. So that we have seen by this kind of method, we have seen adoption increase quite rapidly. And we have been able to save a lot of manpower, and things have become better. Now that is from the enterprise point of view, and of course workflows one can identify. And maybe one example I can give, not from my industry, but from the lawyers industry. So I was talking to someone, and he was saying that for the entry-level lawyers, they have to, given a new case, given any case, they have to actually study of the similar cases in the country. And for that, AI is a very good tool, right? So they can actually feed all the stuff there into AI, and then maybe ask that to do the research. So for such entry-level use cases, I think AI is doing a very, very good job. And I think, as mentioned earlier by the speakers, enterprises have seen a lot of traction. Now coming to MediaTek, we are a chip design company, and we design chipsets for smartphones, smart TVs, and everything has AI. Everything has AI inside. So in fact, today we announced the latest and the greatest flagship chipset for smartphones, which is Dimensity 9500, and that has is like a beast in terms of AI inference on the edge. So it can in fact create 4K images on the edge without connectivity, on the device itself. It has like few billion parameters capability on the chip. So that is the kind of capabilities which we are seeing on the device, and that's what we are bullish about. And Regarding IoT, of course, everything is getting smart. So every device around us is getting smart. Now, how do we use AI to create useful information for predictive maintenance, for example? So those are the kind of discussions we are having, and I think we're still early days, but things are looking very promising. I would say, yeah.
No, thank you, thank you. I think clearly, I would say hardware layer is clearly evolving very fast. So, Viti, you work with global enterprises, right? Helping them modernize their infrastructure. So, are most organizations still using Gen AI to optimize their existing processes, or are you seeing signs of some new models emerging?
Shalab, thank you very much. Very interesting question. I should say both. So the Gen AI, initially the enterprises was using Gen AI to optimize their ecosystem, optimize the systems. They were trying to see how they can impact the customer services and all this. But now what we are seeing is, as part of the largest IT managed services company in the world, now we are seeing is all the clients are looking for Gen AI to increase their business. They're trying to start a new service line. They're doing digital products online. So take example of the banking industry or the telecom industry. No more the banking industry is trying to use AI to optimize the system. They are trying to use AI to detect frauds. The telecom is not using AI to again optimize their ecosystem, run the system. They are trying to use these Gen AI, how they can get a better service to the client, how they can have a different digital tools for them. So I think the whole industry is shifting from the pilot mode to the real world. So Gen AI was initially just to decrease the manpower. Now Gen AI, all the big enterprises, again, 90% of the Fortune 100 companies that are our client, they are looking for Gen AI to increase their business values. So the time has come that no more is an experiment thing, it's a real thing. So Gen AI is, if you use it properly with the governance, with the right modeling, it can really increase your ROI. The whole business case is there for that. So I think answering your question, I see both the trends, Gen AI for optimization and the Gen AI for increasing the business values. Thanks.
Thank you. Quite an interesting perspective. Now let's talk about infrastructure. So Pradeep, Ericsson obviously is the heart of and core of the telecom infra, right? So what kind of enterprise use cases are demanding intelligent connectivity in your experience, and also low latency edge capabilities? Because there's a lot of talk that's happening from shift of cloud to edge, right? So how is Gen AI assisting that shift?
So yeah, as with anything, it all depends on context, right? So the shift from cloud to at edge, it all depends on the type of AI application that you're looking at, right? If you have something like a chatbot or a coding assistant, for instance, something that is more suited for an office environment, likely to reside in the cloud. But when the AI application sort of is close to your operational workflow, then a case can be made for having that run at the edge. If you think of certain examples, right? If you think of factories, mines, industry applications, right? So here you have, cameras that are having vision applications, for instance. You could use them for quality checks, safety checks, and maintenance and so on. So do you want to have the data shipped to the cloud and then do your inferencing, or would you rather have it done closer to where the data is generated, and you save both on the backhauling of the traffic back to the cloud, as well as getting inference in close to real time? So that's one place where it really makes sense. And similarly, when you talk about fleets, right, where the connectivity is primarily mobile, right? You're depending on cellular connectivity. So you have workflows like route planning, package tracking, driver assistance, and all that. And all these require specialized treatment by the network. And here's where something like 5G could help, right? And this is another case where the low latency at edge would benefit these kinds of things. And on a shifting to a different spectrum, if you think of retail, right? If you want to do personalized recommendations for the customer, improve their experience, that's another case to be made there. But all this ties to this notion of what we call intelligent connectivity. What do we mean by intelligent connectivity? By that I mean a network that knows what to prioritize, what traffic to be prioritized, a network that can segment traffic securely, and more importantly, deliver things reliably. And how do we achieve this? The connectivity part of it, 5G plays a key role. Delivers, of course, you have things like network slice, where you have a guaranteed quality of service. But then you couple with things like SASE, or Secure Access Service Edge, right? It's a combination of SD-WAN and security. And that essentially allows you to intelligently groom traffic and also make sure everything is secure. So by having a reliable and secure pipe, you're essentially encouraging the enterprises to move their processing close to the edge. It doesn't mean we're abandoning cloud. You're still going to have your inference, your training going to be running on the cloud. You're going to have your workloads, heavy workloads running on the cloud. But you do move where it makes sense. So in a nutshell, if the AI is at close to the operational level, workflow level, then it definitely I would look at moving it close to the edge. Again, context matters here.
Wonderful. So Gen AI obviously brings a lot of opportunities, but at the same time also big responsibility. Everybody keeps talking about the responsibility aspect. So let's move into and segue into the next segment, which is risk governance and workflow readiness, right? Where we actually can understand how organizations are managing risks, staying compliant, and preparing their people for the AI-driven roles, right? There's a lot is happening and a lot needs to be done. So, Vikas, if I could just ask you, say for example, a regulated entity, right, wants to adopt Gen AI, and they are worried about compliance. So, what's your first conversation that you actually have with them? What's your advice to them as to how do they balance between innovating responsibly and while staying within the regulatory boundaries?
Sure. I mean, just to give you a glance that the life sciences become one of the most regulatory one, then the financial services and all of that. Now, when such kind of customers, not only these two but many other category of customers, they approach us in terms of we want to start, but there are some regulatory limitations we face. So our conversation start from not the model trust, because that's where everyone look forward that, okay, what is your model accuracy? Is it 80%, 90%, 20%? What is your precision recall? So what we say, no, hold on. Let's just start from the data trust, because that's where the regulatory boundary starts from. Where are you securing the data from? Are you securing it from public domain? Are you securing from a governance framework or a regulatory framework? And that's where the first conversation start, data trust. Now, once that is taken care, now we come as a, again, crossing the barrier to say that don't sort of, limit your innovation or paralyze your innovation because of compliance. So it should not become, a bottleneck for your innovation. The idea is that, put guardrails, but not the walls. So don't create walls that, okay, this cannot be done, this cannot be done. Do it, but put the guardrails. Now, how do we do the guardrails in the enterprise? So RAG models are there. You have enterprise sandboxes. You have controlled environment. You have access controls. So these are few techniques you can still work with Gen AI, and then having a fair amount of control and governance in place. Now the third thing which we really talk, and that's part of our key pitch to the customer, that how do you create that environment of or the culture of data ethics, or more and more regulatory compliance. So the data thinking, the data ethics should come to your day-to-day work. Whatever you are securing in terms of the data, whatever you are sharing, whatever you are communicating, is the data ethic in place, either through the email or through verbal communication, through written documents or some video recordings and all that. So I think these three things, if these are taken care very much, well in place, then enterprise should not really worry about. Anyway, technology is going to intervene much more deeper. So not to really wait for aha moment to come and then do it. Someone else better do it. So these are the 3 points which we take care, and then I think the conversations are going well. Enterprise adaptability is going well with these things.
Thanks, Vikas. I think that sets the stage well, especially around compliance. Now, Viti, if I can come to you, so you manage mission critical systems, right? Power grids, financial infrastructure. So, how do you manage risk while AI is powering systems that simply can't afford to fail? You can't have a risk of failure there, right?
No, thank you for the question. This is very near and dear to my heart because the governance, the policies, how to manage risk, because being we manage the complex mission critical workloads for the clients worldwide, right? If you don't give them the security, if you don't give them the confidence that your data is safe, let me touch it, let me work with it, they will not allow us to touch it. So basically, at the company I work and what we do, we don't have a room for experimentation at all. We need controls. So once we are doing that, we have a basic principle. AI has to be safe. It has to have a governance. And of course, it has to be a scalable model. You cannot have the pilots going around. I think you people might have seen the latest MIT report came 2 weeks ago, that 95% of the GenAI pilots are failing in the companies. So we want to be, of course, we cannot implement something without governance and the security controls. But going back to how we manage our critical workloads or mission critical workloads, we give them the confidence, first of all, how to monitor the workloads, how to show them they are safe, how to show them how we can basically modernize their legacy infrastructure before implementing GenAI on top of that. So there are a lot of works to be done before you talk about AI. The data cleansing has to be done. You have to have a data structured in place. You have to have the complete knowledge of the ecosystem they have. So once we have all the ticks are there, then comes the AI and the governance AI, and then you take it to the next level. So I think adopting AI is one thing, but implementing AI in a safe manner, in a disciplined way, is a project. It's like a target. People don't think on those lines. Everybody says GenAI, GenAI. But when you go and talk to the client who is going to give you a $40 million check, you can't simply tell them the things which are there on the books. We have to show them the ROI on that. We have to show them how, go to a banking client, you tell them I'm trying to move their $1 billion on cloud. The first question is risk involved. How we can show them there's no risk. So I think for what we are doing is we are making sure we have a smart AI systems which can improve the technology. We have the smart system which are in the governance network. We have the smart system which can really prove that it's in the safe environment and the business value they can get out of that. So I think that's what we are doing and trying to convince the clients, don't be scared. Yeah. GenAI is there to stay and it will expand as the time comes. Thank you.
Yeah, interesting. So basically work on the foundational layer before you actually start thinking. So yeah. Now let's shift to telecom layer, Pradeep. So as GenAI moves closer to edge, especially, right? So how enterprises managing data governance and network security, how is that happening in the telecom side?
Viti touched upon an important point, right? You know that when you talk to your customers, they're very worried about, is my data protected, right? So anytime you have a conversation about enterprise AI, the conversation eventually pivots towards one thing, trust, right? And that's where governance and security come into play. So you really have a two-layer approach, right? What you need are clear governance processes, right? And by that, you need to know what data can be accessed, where the data is processed, and who can access it. But then you have this notion of data at rest and data in transit. Both need to be protected. And when you come to the data in transit, that's when the network security angle comes in, right? You need to have things like standard security strategies like ZTNA or SASE that can really help secure your network. Today, the security policies, right, they're not tied to a specific location or anything because the devices and users move around. So which means that your security policies need to follow your devices or users no matter how they connect to the network. Then the connectivity aspect that you touched upon, that's extremely important. Why? Because users are no longer tethered to a physical location. They are highly mobile. Think of fleets, think of first responder vehicles like police cars, ambulances, fire trucks, think of pop-up stores. All these demand a high level of connectivity. And it's not just bandwidth that we are talking about, it's quality of service and with secure ports. And here's where 5G in combination with SASE is going to. But what we see is AI and the connectivity, they're sort of complementary in the sense that Gen AI can help better manage your security. It can interpret security policies, translate it into the right policies that can be applied on the device. It can spot compliance gaps. It can fix things on the fly that a human cannot react in time. It can spot anomalies in traffic. So as the complexity of the network grows, you do need something like this, right? And a secure network is going to encourage people to adopt Gen AI more. Coming on the other side, the connectivity that AI provides, that 5G provides, is going to be critical for AI because that depends on low latency and high bandwidth, connections. So essentially, these two complement each other. But bottom line, the data governance and security, these are not add-ons. You need to bake it into your architecture. It needs to be built from the ground up. So when you have a reliable, secure network, that guarantees all these things, then enterprises can scale to deliver secure and trustable solutions.
Okay. Interesting perspective, Pradeep. So, Gaurav, if we can build on that, so telecom obviously is India's one of most regulated sectors, right? And Vodafone deploys AI-powered solutions. So, in your experience, are regulators keeping pace with innovation, or are you still seeing some shades of gray? You're navigating in the gray zones, and also the second part would be, how are you preparing your teams for AI-led transformation?
So, see, AI, while it brings a lot of opportunity, it also brings its risk, right? Because it is all based on data. Where is that data going to get stored? How it's going to get used? The algorithms, do we have transparency? Are they bringing some biases? So there is a lot which is evolving. And in our regulator, TRI and METI, we have quite progressive bodies who are definitely thinking about it. In fact, TRI had came up with a consulting, a paper in 22, if I'm not wrong, almost 3 years back. And based on that, they, of course, collected inputs from people, from industry, and then they have now given a recommendation that there should be a regulatory body for AI and data in India. So, of course, regulators are preparing for it. We do not have laws right now, but I'm sure it will come very soon. And we need those. Now, coming back to how we are preparing, so of course, we are not going to wait for those laws to come in. We are very protective about the data of our users. So we are also in that way conservative. How are we using these technologies? And while we are doing that, I also want to still give exposure to my teams to these new tools to try out what is the art of possibility. And one way that we are envisaging it that we are going to create, AI cafes within our offices where the young employees can go and test out new tools which are not connected to our network, not exposed to our data. And they can still try out what new things can be done and can bring out new ideas which we can then see how we implement in a secured and controlled manner enterprise-wide. So that's how we are approaching it.
Okay, thanks. I think that brings us to a broader question of scaling responsibility. Anku, if I can come to you. So innovation obviously moves faster than regulation, right? So how can enterprises balance the excitement of Gen AI with the need for ethical and responsible use, especially when you deploy AI in large scales?
Yeah, I think the problem with AI is that the pace of change is very fast. So when I got to know what's the full form of Gen AI, there's something like agentic AI which is coming, right? So I think we have to be on our toes to understand what are the technologies which are going around AI. And now recently MCP servers have become very common to be used. So, I think the question is about ethical challenges, or yeah. So I think for that I would say I think transparency is one big important aspect. Previous speakers have already spoken about data privacy issues and so on. But transparency in the sense that one should be able to audit the decisions made by AI, and one should be able to look at kind of the way it is working, right? The AI is working. So that should be available. If that happens, then it is more predictable in the sense that one can know what's going on. So I think, and of course there can be ethics committee, there can be data privacy and stuff like that. That's important. But I would say overall it is something which we have to understand. And we have been working on AI for enterprise for last 1 year, and we're still trying to just scratching the surface. And he mentioned about 95% Gen AI failure. I would say that is kind of true, because we have been experimenting a lot of things, and many of them are giving false positives or giving erroneous results. So, but we have to keep experimenting, and eventually we will know what combination works well for our enterprise. So that is where we are right now. It's still a long way forward, a long game ahead of us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, maybe I'll take a quick perspective, 30 seconds from each one of you. What's the biggest blocker to faster Gen AI adoption in India between governance, talent, infra, and business mindset? I mean, we can go randomly, whosoever wants to come in. So what's the biggest blocker to faster Gen AI adoption in India? You need to choose between governance, talent, infrastructure, or business mindset.
I would say it is the mindset, because people understand the superficial nature of AI, like ChatGPT and stuff like that. But people don't still are not putting the hat of trying to convert any opportunity to how to make use of AI in that opportunity, like entering the pain points. So that is something I feel is missing. People are still just scratching the surface. So mindset, I would say,
Okay.
and it is important to get over that very fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all four things you mentioned are very important. But to be honest with you, I agree with what my colleague said, the mindset. I'll give you an example. Like again, when I mentioned that 95% of the Gen AI are failing, you read a Gartner report, Forrester report, they say the same thing. Now, the people are working diligently in this area, but the executive mindset is still the Gen AI is experiment, is a pilot, it's a POC. They are not taking Gen AI as a business creation tool. Till that mindset, the top level changes, the water flows from the top. Till the C-suite think that way, that Gen AI is going to make a difference in the value and give some money to the whole process, things will not change. So the mindset is extremely important, and especially India, like a big country with 1.4 billion population, here also it's not taking off. The mindset has to change at the top level to make it work, and it will fly.
Okay. Any other perspectives? Anyone?
So I would have to agree too. To me,
Okay.
mindset is what I think, but I have a slightly different nuance on this. Right? So it's in terms of the ROI that people expect out of it. You're not going to get a quick win. People think about summarization of documents and code pilots and all that, right? Yes, those are quick wins that you'll have, right, to improve your operational efficiency. But to truly unlock the value of Gen AI, you need to invest for the long haul. You need to have that mindset that yes, I'm in it. I need to put in effort to build the right infrastructure, to build the right architecture, and stick with it. So when that mindset change happens, I think we will see a lot more uptick in Gen AI adoption.
Okay, interesting.
I would agree with mindset, but just one more thing I would like to add. What I've seen working is if you get young people, just out of college, 2 year experience, give them the problem, tools they find out which tools to use, and then they show you something which, wonders everyone, and then we see that, yeah, the potential of these technologies. So that I've seen working.
Okay.
Can I build on something which I heard? So very good point which he brought in that only 5% so-called experiment or with Gen AI is successful. But think about it, you need 5% to disrupt the whole business model.
Yeah.
Think that way. Now the second thing, we touched upon mindset, and that's a pretty much, undoubtedly one of the biggest block. Let's cover the talent part from Indian point of view, and then the governance. We are the country of coders. The only thing which we lack is that can we connect the coding outcome with business goal? So you need more of translators. That's it. So from a talent side, the people who can connect the code with the business. And that is what West has done beautifully, and West is far more innovative in terms of the different products or different ways to engage with the common, be it Facebook, Google, or something. So as a country, we need to really focus on those translators who can connect the algorithmic outcome with the business goal. Now, governance definitely is a point which is a concern, but this is manageable, no doubt.
So I'm actually intrigued with with unanimity. Most of you are actually talking about mindset. In my mind, I was actually struggling between mindset and infrastructure, and the reason so was, why is it that the largest of the tech companies are not in India but outside of India? Probably Indians do, people with Indian origin or background or a context actually are contributors to those companies. So I was in my mind thinking, is it the mindset that is actually driving that behavior, or is it the infrastructure, and mindset is actually restricting the infrastructure support? Probably that's what the panel is indicating.
Once you're in the Western world for 20 years, your mindset changes.
Yeah. Thank you, and great. So we move to the last segment. Clearly, no one scales Gen AI alone, right? It has to be a partnership across telecom, technology, infrastructure, which actually collectively help enterprises move faster. So if I can, again, quick 10, 20 seconds each person, if you can share your perspective, what makes ecosystem partnerships work at scale, and where do you see them breaking down?
If I just start, of course, we need multiple players to come together to make a use case live, right? It is not just the infra provider in terms of network or compute and the GPU farms. We also need the application. We need the system integrators who can then put all of this, in motion. So yes, we would need these partnerships to evolve to get the benefits out of Gen AI that we would need.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll just give my 2 cents. I work with Microsoft globally, and Microsoft is a partner-first company. So why I'm getting this into the partnership ecosystem has to be there to get some results. So without the ecosystem, the quantum computing, or you say chip, or you mentioned cloud native and all this, one company can't do much. The IBM is infra expert. Microsoft is called a cloud expert. We all have to collectively put our brain together, come up with the ecosystem which is beneficial for the whole world. So without that ecosystem, nothing can work.
Right.
I would like to answer the previous question, about
Sure.
why we don't have such companies in India, right? I think the biggest reason is not talent, of course. I think talent is there, infra is there, but the problem was, I think it's changing now, is that the venture capitalist ecosystem developed very late here. I think in maybe 2005 or 2010, and the risk-taking capacity of the startups which are coming here was not there earlier. But now that has changed a lot, and in Silicon Valley, it has been there for 40, 50 years, the VC ecosystem. And now that has changed drastically, and now we can see Indian startups doing very, very well globally. And it's a matter of time, maybe in the next 10 years, that we will have some big giant coming from India. So I think that ecosystem is, I think just 20, 30 years late than other countries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Viti, if I can just have a follow up what you mentioned. So again, with your experience of India and global, right? So in your view, what needs to happen for India to move to becoming a large AI innovation leader rather than a user?
Yeah, thanks. Very interesting question. Now, I'm sitting in India. You have to tell about India. So, first of all, India has a great pool of technologists, which I don't see anywhere in the world. India has got the infrastructure. India has got the cloud computing. India has got everything. So, I firmly believe there are three factors which can influence India becoming from AI market to an AI innovation leader in the world. The first one is the AI infrastructure modernization at scale. By that, what I mean is like the government, the enterprise, all have to think how we can modernize our existing infrastructure so that we comply with the governance and get the credibility at a global level. Then you will be an AI leader. The second thing is intention, like same like POC and the pilots to the production cases. India has to go one step ahead than the whole world to show that our pilots are working, our POCs are working. That will only happen when we have a combination of academia, enterprise, policymakers, startups, all working together in the ecosystem, trying to give the confidence to the whole world that we have, as you said, the startups, there are a lot of startups in India, but the startups has to talk to academias. They have to talk to the IBMs and the Microsoft and Google of the world. They have to talk to Department of Telecom, Government of India. All people have to work sync to make India as an AI innovation leader. And final, I think, is the governance model. We have to have a centralized governance model in the country. Everybody is working in silos. Startup have got their own governance model. Microsoft of the world has its own governance model. So if we have a collective one governance model which can be defined by Government of India, that will give an example to the whole world. Right now in the world, there's no governance model. Europe has got 10 governance model. US has got, every state has got its own model. India can develop that ecosystem. If you can develop that, show to the world, you are the AI leader in this world. So that's the three factors which will help. Thanks.
Okay. So, Gaurav, if I can come to you. So, from India experience perspective, do you think that we are ready for Gen AI ambitions that we are discussing, or we are still talking about the foundational layer, just building upon what we heard?
Like if we talk about infrastructure, right? So I think kind of we have laid the roads. We just have to light those up, right? So if you look at the connectivity part, India is quite ahead in terms of the fiber reach, right? We have most of our areas are connected. The 5G, with coverage that we have, 4G is definitely pan-India almost now. So we have good network coverage. If you say the data centers, there are a lot of data centers are coming up. I don't see any, any risk in terms of not having enough capacity. Of course, those data centers, then we'll have to put enough GPU farms, and then we will have to have the power that we would need for those. I'm sure that is getting built up. So to run a business process or innovations in terms of using this technology, I think we are there. But now, if just to add to one point is, do we have infrastructure to create our own LLMs? Maybe not that much, right? But to use that technology, yeah, I think we'll definitely be.
Okay. Pradeep, perhaps a final word from you from product lens, right? So anything that you'd like to add which could accelerate enterprise AI adoption faster?
Well, since you mentioned product lens, right? I'll put on my product manager hat and then answer with that perspective. The one thing that we always run into when we talk to customers is that they want operational simplicity for anything that the network just should work. Things should just work. And if it doesn't work, fix it yourself. The system should self-heal. The system should be able to or guide the user to say, okay, this is what is happening. The explainability part of it comes in, right? The reason I'm saying it from this angle is that the infrastructure is key, right? So anytime you add a new AI workflow or a new endpoint, the threat surface increases. Already IT departments are overburdened with managing networks, and they are going to infrastructure, right? And it's going to get more ever so complex. So what you would need are things like an agentic AI-based system, right? That uses intent-based management, so that users don't have to deal with the complexity of the underlying system. And it's not just networks alone; it can apply to any system, right? You just specify your business objective, and the system takes care of it. If you're able to do all that, you relieve the burden of the persons managing the infrastructure, and then your infrastructure is solid. That itself will accelerate adoption of more use cases and so on. So it's not just networks alone. The concept applies to other areas as well. That would be my.
Okay, thank you. So infrastructure is ready. We are saying, right, governance, if done right, is an enabler, and collaboration is important, right? And India has talent, diversity, and I guess also technology stack that is required. So that actually sums up our panel. Thank you so much. Any questions anybody has? Otherwise, we can call it a close.
Oh, sorry, you can. So, just one question when we are talking about AI adoption, um, and you are saying that, okay, 95% of the AI use cases are failing, and it's kind of a dichotomy over here. India is one of the largest users of tools like, say, for example, ChatGPT or Red Llama or et cetera, et cetera. That's the first part. And the second part is that when we look at from a governance point of view, when we look at aspects like LLM hallucination, etc., how do we address? So one is that at the core, there are complexities to the LLM models as well, which a service provider typically is not able to handle because it's something, a complexity which is lying at the LLM model. And then how do we address some of these use cases? That's my basic question. Yeah.
If I just take it, the hallucination depends on how the model is trained, right? Depending on what model are we using. Now there are companies in India who are creating the small language models, which are specific for a particular use case. If you have a complete generic model, of course, even ChatGPT and the latest ones are hallucinating right now. So we will have to make purpose-built models. We'll have to put those guardrails that they are not going beyond something what they are supposed to do. Right? We are not talking about that, something which can answer everything. But if for my business process, there are certain things which needs to get done, I need to have a very limited intelligence that this model has to have. So those, as long as we can put those guardrails, and that is where the point we were talking about that, the transparency about the algorithms. And those are evolving. Means it's too early, but maybe after a year we would have answers to some of those questions. Not all of those are there right now. But if we make purpose-built models, smaller, which will take lesser energy, which will be focused on what we need to get done, it'll be taken care of.
Just want to add one thing. Agentic AI is coming out of what you were saying. Now, every company, agentic AI, every company has got its all small language models. They are trying to, personalize the AI tools for their specific uses. So that are not dependent on LLMs, they are SLMs. So agentic AI, if the company has got agents, 100 agents, 1,000 agents in one company, these all are specific agents working. I have been given one agent. I have an agent working for me. So that is taking care of my needs. So that is the shift from LLM to SLMs.
Just request Shalabh to please present mementos to our panelists.